proceed with the roll call with Mr. Secretary Ricardo Lopez.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I will now call roll. Staff Senate, please state aye or type it in the chat once your name is called. Alexis Ochoa. Oliver Lozano. One second. Antonio Alvarez. Carlos Ayala.
Aye.
Claudio Portillo. Cristina Rodriguez. Dina Lopez. Dina Guerra. Elizabeth Reyes.
Aye.
Elizabeth Salinas. Estela de la Garza.
Aye.
Graciela Abrego.
Aye.
Jaime Miranda. Jake Gonzalez. James Martinez. Jeremy San Miguel. Caleb Huenteo. Crystal Marroquin. Crystal Chapel.
Aye.
Thank you. Leslie Orozco. Matthew Monkus.
Aye.
Matthew Lerma. Mario Garcia. Melissa Martinez. Miraida Torres Avila. Omar Nedzelski. Rolando Segovia. Timothy Odoms. Yesenia Carter. Mr. President, quorum has been established.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. Welcome to the Staff Senate General Meeting for the month of July. I hope everybody's summer is going well. I can't believe it's already going to be the end of another academic year. Where did the time go? Alrighty, so let's go ahead and begin with our agenda with new business. Is there a motion to approve the May 2025 and June 2025 meeting minutes?
I motion.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please state aye in the team chat. All those opposed and any abstentions. The May 2025 and June 2025 meeting minutes have been approved. Moving on with our agenda, we'll have our guest speakers. Our first guest speaker is Dr. Amada. He is a surgical specialist and MSK ISU. Are you there, Doctor Amada?
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Welcome to Staff Senate.
Thank you guys for having me. Everyone can hear me okay?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Well, good morning, everyone, and I really am honored and privileged to be here to speak with you all this morning. My name is Dr. Amir Ahmad. I'm an assistant professor of orthopedic surgery at UTRGV School of Medicine, and I'm also the head team physician for UTRGV Vaqueros Athletics. I just want to give it a quick talk today, introducing myself to you guys, my practice, what we're doing, some of the new and exciting endeavors that we're taking on here in orthopedic surgery and athletics. And let's go ahead and get started. So, a little bit about my background. I was born in Cincinnati, Ohio, and moved to Tucson, Arizona at a very young age. My father is the professor of immunobiology at the University of Arizona College of Medicine and the director of immunity and infection. And so, at a very young age, I've been in Tucson, Arizona. Grew up playing sports my whole life: baseball, basketball, and football. And I was able to complete my undergraduate degree at the University of Arizona in microbiology. And then I was able to stay on at the University of Arizona College of Medicine for medical school. Upon completing medical school, I did my 5-year orthopedic surgery residency training at the University of New Mexico in Albuquerque. There, I really fell in love with sports medicine and athletic medicine. And so I wanted to further pursue my sports medicine training. And I was very fortunate to go to the University of Southern California in Los Angeles, where I completed a 1-year sports medicine fellowship and shoulder fellowship in Los Angeles, where I helped take care of the USC Trojans as well as the Los Angeles Kings NHL team. After that, I really wanted to continue being a team doctor and being involved in athletic medicine, as well as being involved in academia and being an academic surgeon. And so the opportunity came for me to come out here to South Texas and with Dr. Michael Sander and help him grow the department and grow sports medicine out here in the Valley. And so things worked out, and I was able to come out to the Valley and become the new head team physician for UTRGV, and also work with the School of Medicine and the medical students, and help promote orthopedic surgery and help get medical students involved with our research in many different ways. And so that has been a ton of fun. Um, the one of the big things that you know as an academic institution, it's very important to build training programs. And so being able to build a orthopedic surgery residency and a sports medicine fellowship is kind of one of the things that really drove me to come here. And there's a great need here, but there's a great opportunity here too. And so, but part of building a sports medicine fellowship is you have to be able to recruit the right leadership and the right faculty to help grow and cultivate a very healthy program. But when I was at the University of New Mexico in Albuquerque, the department chair was Dr. Bob Skank. Dr. Skank did his medical training and orthopedic surgery residency at Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore. He then did a sports medicine fellowship in Cincinnati. And then he was faculty at University of Texas San Antonio, as well as the head team physician there, and eventually came to the University of New Mexico and took over University of New Mexico Lobos, as well as eventually becoming the department chair. So when I was a resident there, Dr. Skank was actually the department chair. He's a world-renowned orthopedic surgeon. The knee dislocation classification is the Skank classification, which is actually named after him. So we were able to recruit Dr. Bob Skank to come and lead our sports medicine fellowship training. Dr. Skank is actually on the call, and I just want him to quickly say hi and introduce himself, if that's okay.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Thank you again. And like Dr. Ahmad said, it's a real honor to be here at Faculty Senate meeting today. Thank you very much. And I have to just second everything Amir said. This UTRGV and the Valley, as well as the university programs, are such a fertile ground for education and training. And it's an ideal place to create a sports medicine fellowship. And just to add into what Amir said, a fellowship is a 1-year period of time where you train someone in very specialized activities such as sports medicine surgery and care of the athlete. And the Vaqueros have a wonderful facility for taking care of athletes and watching sports, and it allows for a great place to train fellows. it's wonderful being down here. I am a tenured professor for many years, but still do active surgery and enjoy it immensely. And Amir and I had a kindred relationship, kindred spirit back in New Mexico. And so it was very fortunate to be here. And we're very grateful for Mike Sander and his leadership. He was actually a medical student of mine at UTSA back in the 90s, and he and I remembered fondly uh, our time together. But it's great here. You have a wonderful university. You have a wonderful region of people, and I've always known the Valley. I was born in Texas, and my mother was a university professor of music, and so I've always loved the university setting, and in turn, academic orthopedic surgery is really fascinating in training residents and fellows. But thank you very much for the opportunity. And Amir, and I have just had a fun time working back together again. It's been a real pleasure, and it's really great to be part of such a wonderful university.
Well, thank you for joining us today, Dr. Skank. If you want to continue, Dr. Ahmad?
Yeah, I thanks so much, Dr. Skank. Really appreciate it. And so, one of the really cool things that we're obviously introducing to the Valley is Division I college football. I think everyone's really excited about the upcoming football season here in the Valley. We will have multiple UTRGV physicians covering football, not just football, but all UTRGV sports. But at every football game, I will be there. Dr. Skank will be at several games, and then our primary care sports medicine doctor, Dr. Michael Eisen, will be at football games as well, and Dr. Evan Perez will be helping out as well with football. And so we've got an excellent group of physicians that are well trained, seasoned, and ready to take on whatever the UTRGV football season brings. So we'll be at all home games, so you'll see us on the sideline, and we'll also be traveling on the road games to make sure that our football players are well taken care of. And so I'm really excited to come here and help launch athletic medicine for football. And really looking forward to having a fun, safe, healthy, and successful football season. But thank you guys so much for allowing us to come and speak with you all. Available for any questions if there are any. But thank you guys so much for allowing us to be here. Really, really grateful and really, really appreciate speaking with you guys this morning.
Oh, thank you. Yes. If there's any questions for Dr. Ahmad or Dr. Skank, please put them in the chat. I do have a question. Where would you see the program for sports medicine in 5 or 10 years with UTRGV?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think we have an opportunity here to really be the premier sports medicine program in Texas. And you kind of want to start regionally and then build yourself on a national stage and then an international stage. And so I think in 5 to 10 years from now, I would envision us having 2 orthopedic sports medicine fellows. I would envision us having an excellent sports medicine research program built in, continuing to take care of our high level teams, along with just excellent clinical and surgical experience here. And I would envision us getting out on the international stage and the national stage to present our research, our clinical research. The other big thing is we are launching the ambulatory surgery center, which is set to open actually in just about 1 week. And that's the UT Health RGV Cancer and Surgery Center, where we'll have a very beautiful state-of-the-art operating rooms, along with clinics, along with world-class cancer care. And so that surgery center, combined with our fellowship program, combined with this football season, it all kind of goes hand in hand in such a beautiful, elegant manner right now. And in 5 to 10 years, I just see all of that blossoming and bringing more providers to the Valley, which is really what we need. We need excellent physicians and surgeons and teachers to come to the Valley and to train our students. And that's really how you create a thriving medical environment. So that's what I envision over the next 5 to 10 years.
That's amazing. That's really awesome. Also, I would like to get your opinion and also Dr. Skank, if possible. In recent years, they've been some concerns with concussions in the football field. I would just like to get your take on that.
Yeah, most definitely. Um, concussions, very serious problem, not just in football, but actually in all sports. We've seen a lot of concussions in lacrosse and soccer as well, but concussions are a really serious problem. And so we have an entire protocol that we follow. It's an NCAA Division I football protocol for uh, being, first of all, concussion prevention, making sure we have the right helmet and right appropriate safe helmet inside of the athlete's head. And then we have multiple physicians who are trained for concussion evaluation, treatment. We have an entire concussion protocol that once an athlete has been diagnosed with a concussion, they have to meet all of the milestones of the concussion protocol before they're allowed to return to play safely. We also do baseline testing for concussion evaluation at the beginning of the season. So we have baseline numbers and evaluations for every athlete, not just football players, but every single athlete that comes to UTRGV has baseline concussion testing done in the preseason so that, if we're unfortunate enough to have a concussion, we can compare to the baseline concussion testing to ensure that the athlete is safe and appropriate. So I take concussions very seriously. I know Dr. Skank does as well when he was the head team physician for the New Mexico Lobos, and it's actually built into our training and residency for concussions. So from a early part of training, we build in this concussion protocol and concussion awareness, and we have a medical spotter at every football game, meaning there's someone that's simply in place and designated to watch for head and neck injuries. And if they see any type of head or neck injury that's concerning, we call down to the officials. The game is immediately stopped, and that athlete is removed from the game and evaluated in the medical tent.
Okay. Dr. Skank, did you want to?
That was really great detail. I think what we would like to just explain is that our basic responsibility is the safety of the athlete and to focus on their success. And concussion is a little bit of a gray area in terms of knowing exactly when someone should return. And the science is becoming better and better, as Dr. Ahmad said. But we always make the decision on the basis of safety for the athlete. So it's just like what Amir said. We do as rigorous of an objective evaluation as we can. We look at baselines, but our overarching rule is safety, and it's such a great question because it has such long-term effects on the athlete. And I had a concussion once playing football, and my evaluation was just sitting on the bus thinking whether I was going to be normal or not. So now it's very advanced. And Amir and I, when you take care of athletes like this, and you're very much in the game and on the sidelines, you're really in the game for the safety of the athlete. And so it's a real honor, and you have to take a lot of pride and be a real physician on the sidelines. And we also rely very heavily on our primary care physicians with concussions. We work very closely with them on this determinant. And so we're grateful for their care and expertise.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Another question. We do have some parents on the call who have their children in high school football or in sports. What tips would you give them to have a healthy student athlete to continue playing their sport?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think there's several things. I think number one is, I think we don't talk about it enough is nutrition. Nutrition and hydration are first and foremost key. Your body is a machine at the end of the day, and that machine needs to be fed the appropriate fuel, appropriate nutrition, protein, complex carbohydrates, plenty of fruits and vegetables, and lots of water and hydration and electrolytes to make sure that your body is ready for optimal performance. The other thing I think is really important is playing multiple sports. I think a lot of times people zero in on, oh, we have to play one sport and only learn that one sport. There's a lot of research and good evidence that shows that actually playing multiple sports is the best way to avoid injuries and avoid overuse injuries, particularly as different sports require different muscle groups to be activated most. So my best advice would be good nutrition and good hydration throughout the entire year, particularly in the Valley where there's so much heat and you can really have dehydration problems here. And then that combined with playing multiple sports, I think is very healthy. And those are the things that I would say. Dr. Skank, anything else you'd add to that?
Oh, those are very good points. And certainly the overall health of the athlete. And as a parent, it's very important to look at your adolescent or your child's sort of mental well-being, how they are with the sport. Do they like it? Is it fun for them? I think those are basic questions that we tend to forget when we have a youngster who, want to be the next Deion Sanders or Mike Trout. And so are they happy? Are they having fun? And make it fun for them, and then make it safe for them, just like Amir said. Nutrition, hydration, and doing other things just than one sporting activity, because you get burned out oftentimes when you just do one and get hurt.
All right. Awesome answers. Is there any other questions for Dr. Ahmad or Dr. Skank? Please put them in the chat. Okay, I don't see anything coming in at the moment, but would you have any last statement you would like to give, Dr. Ahmad or Dr. Skank?
Yeah, no, it's an absolute pleasure to be here in the Valley with you guys, and it was great coming and talking to you guys and talking about what we do. I think a lot of exciting stuff is going on right now in our community, and I'm just very grateful to be a part of it and continue working hard to improve things, and very, very exciting football season ahead. So I'm hoping everyone enjoys that, and really looking forward to it. And just thank you guys so much for having us. I really appreciate it. And thank you guys so much.
And thank you all, and reach out to us if you need any help or questions. We're more than happy to be available. We're just one email away or phone call. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, and welcome to UTRGV, and welcome to the Vaquero family.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on with our agenda, our next guest speaker is Chase Kong from Athletics, and also Travis Bush, also from Athletics.
Well, good morning. Great to be with you all. Like you said earlier, it's hard to believe that we're close to the fall, not just football season, but another academic year. I'm going to keep my comments pretty brief at the start. I think you're all really interested to hear from Coach Bush and how things are going within our football program. And I'll certainly be here to add some commentary or answer any questions and maybe share a few tidbits on the back end. But I do want to mention, just hearing from Dr. Skank, Dr. Ahmad, how fortunate and how blessed we are to have medical professionals like them here at the university. I've had a chance to work closely with Dr. Ahmad this past year on all fronts with all 18 of our sports, and just the level of care, the interaction with our coaches, our student athletes. Dr. Ahmad, really appreciate everything that you've already brought this past year to our athletics department, certainly the impact you'll have moving forward, not just with us, but with the entire community. But with all that said, I'm going to turn it over to Coach Bush, who is running 1,000 miles per hour right now. He's got his guys here and a lot of updates. I don't know if he's going to promise us a bunch of wins or championships in this call today, but I'll leave it to him to give some really good updates on where the Vaqueros are. Coach?
Morning. Appreciate it. And thanks for the opportunity to be here. And good to hear from you, Dr. Ahmad. And again, I'm with you. I hope we have a successful football season too. But really excited about everything that we've got going and been building. I think the first time I spoke on here was about a month after I got hired in January of 23. So we've we've come a long way. It's been a fun process from just being the only one on staff to really kind of looking back over the past 2 years and everything that we've built from not just from buildings and facilities and fields, but building a staff and building our roster and having our roster go through an academic school year and about to kick off our second academic year here. I'm really excited about our group, and we report to training camp on the 30th. So we're a few days away from putting on helmets and getting ready to go for the 25 season. Got a lot of new guys. We've added some guys to the roster since last fall, and excited to get them in. But we got a lot of work to do still here, and we've got 25 practices here starting on the 31st of July, leading up to August 30th. And really still got a lot of pieces, a lot of questions to get answered there and get ready. But really, just from the support across the valley, from the campus community, from our administration, everybody that's been involved with this has been a huge part of it. Even going back to recruiting and the young men that we brought down here, it's just everything they felt from a campus standpoint, from a community standpoint, the fact that the games are sold out. I mean, that's been so huge, and guys wanting to come down here and be a part of it. So again, can't thank everybody enough. But it's been a wonderful process, and in leading up to this, it's been 900 and something days since we got hired, leading up to this first game, and it'll kick off. We'll have Division I college football in the Valley in a little over a month, and then once we get going, there's a whole new set of challenges. So once seasons get going, and this thing will continue to build, continue to develop, and continue to evolve. Over the lifetime of UTRGV football. But can't say enough how honored and proud I am to be a part of this, to be a part of the UTRGV family, and to be, to pull around the corner there and in a month and see that stadium packed with orange and people tailgating, and just the entire community, the entire event, all the different aspects of a football game, from the band and cheer and the student section, and just everything coming together. Is going to be a sight to see, and I'm really looking forward to it. So can't thank you enough. Excited to be here, and definitely answer any questions. I know someone asked about training camp here, and we'll start here on campus. We'll be able to get to Vacker Stadium a couple times and get in there and get some scrimmages to get our guys a feel for that place before we kick off there in August. But everything will mainly be here on campus.
Okay. Will it be open to the public?
No, most training camps, everything on campus is going to be closed. Obviously, we do have, now looking ahead to opponents, they, there's going to be some, they're going to try to send some spies to catch our practices a little bit, since we don't have any film to show them. So we're going to be pretty discreet about what we do. We may look to have something open to the public where we can get some fan involvement, but, a lot of that depends on of the construction of the stadium and where that stands.
So what are your expectations for your first year, and do you think UTRGV can make waves in the conference?
That's probably the biggest question. We've just had our media day up in San Antonio this past weekend, asking about expectations, goals. I think a lot of that for us is going to evolve through the season. Our main goal right now is getting into training camp, and like I said, we've added so many young men since the end of last year that that haven't even practiced for us yet. So the main goal right now, we've got our roster set. We've got our 105-man roster turned into the NCAA. And now we got to find out who those starters are going to be. So that's going to be the big focus. Once we can get the starters, I love our team. I love the pieces we've been able to add. The biggest challenge starting this thing was how quickly we could balance our roster and commend our staff and the job they've done recruiting to get a roster full of seniors and juniors and some balance to it, like every other team in the nation. So depending how we start off in the season, and a lot of it we got to get in games and see how we stack up. So we've talked, how we get in the season. Now our goals may change, our goals may evolve. You start talking about competing in the conference and things like that. But right now we're focused on training camp, just working on winning one day at a time, and finding those starters is the number one goal right now.
Okay. How would you define success in your first season, and what will you do to manage the expectation for administration, student, fans, while establishing a winning culture?
Yeah, and that's what, that's the biggest thing we're building right now is that culture and the guys that are buying into the team we want to build, not only for how we want to play on the field, but the team, the young men we want to build and continue to develop them as men for when they graduate, but how they are in the classroom, how they are in the community. So that's been the biggest piece now, and really, I don't know. Again, putting success for us, that's the biggest piece. What is the culture? How are we going to build? I think a lot of it's getting into this season as a new program in college football and seeing where we stack up. We don't have a win-loss goal right now. And there's so many things that can happen in the football season. And like I said, as we get in, if things go a certain way, well, then now we may, some of those goals may evolve. But, success right now, just focus on, getting this football season started and building this culture and keeping these guys going in the right direction, excelling in the classroom, excelling in the community, and really, as always, we feel the wins on the field will be a direct result of the culture we build. I don't know what the timeline on that is, but again, we're going to focus on winning every day. We're going to plan, practice, and prepare to win every ball game on our schedule. And I believe a lot of it's getting in and seeing how we stack up in this conference, in this league, and going from there.
What resources do you believe are essential for success, and how will you work with the university and the community to secure them?
Well, there's so many, but I think it starts again. It starts with everything we've just talked about with the university, the community, the people, everybody involved, and there's a lot of people like I talked that may not realize they are directly involved with us and the student athletes that we're recruiting to come down here. And the biggest selling point again is the university, the people down here, the Rio Grande Valley, everything involved, and that's what's bringing these young men down here. That's what brought us down here. That's what brought our staff down here. So and people get down here and they fall in love with it. And everything that our athletic department has done, our administration, the University of Texas system to give us the resources, as far as the facility, the stadium, everything we have to have to be a competitive Division I program is on par with everybody at this level in the nation. And we're going to have the best facilities in our conference, and this thing is set up to be successful. And that puts the pressure on the head coach and to win some games. But I believe everybody in this university and this administration has done their part and continues to do their part to make this thing set up to be successful.
Is UTRGV football still focused on scouting and bringing talent from the Valley?
Of course, and we still got 10 young men. We had a few that started out and they chose to not be a part of it, but we'll always continue to recruit. Biggest focus this past recruiting class again was building those upperclassmen, and we're able to do a good job there. We did get some guys back from other universities that were from the Rio Grande Valley also, so always excited. But definitely always want to look local and keep those guys here. If there's Division I athletes down here, we want to keep them here, give them that opportunity to represent their home community, represent the Valley, and have their families be able to support them right here in their backyard. So excited and excited about some of the young guys and the programs coming up. And had a lot of guys out to our camps this summer, and really a lot of the local coaching staffs have been over here over the past 2 years. And really, using us as a resource as well to help them get better in their program. So definitely excited about Valley football and excited to be a part of Rio Grande Valley football.
So what would you recommend if a parent has their son in high school football in the Valley? What would you recommend for them to start doing to prepare for that next transition into collegiate football?
The biggest thing, and I've had a son that just graduated Regia High School, and I've coached high school football, and the biggest thing we talk about with those young men is just do the things you can to set yourself up. The first thing is academics, and you want to play college football, where you got to get into college, and that's the first thing we've always talked to our young men about is setting yourself up academically. With your grade point average, your test scores, et cetera, everything you need to get in, start applying to universities, start going to camps, kind of looking at where you fit in. I do believe there is a level, there is a division for everybody in college football, and there's so many divisions and levels across the country. Division one may not be for everybody, but there are levels, there are divisions. But kind of identifying that, getting out to camps and trying to get exposures you can, but also the biggest thing is just focus on being the best high school football player you can be and the best teammate. And a lot of times you excel at that level, and we'll find a way. We'll notice those young men, and their head coaches will reach out and utilize that resource to get their names out. And but again, I was a high school coach. I felt it was my obligation. If we had a young man that wanted to play college football, then it was my job as a head coach to also find a spot for him and reach out and use our contacts to get in touch with coaches across the nation and get his name on those lists.
Okay. So this question is for you and maybe for Chase. With NIL being established for college athletes, how can you generally compete for talent with major universities?
Well, on our end, we're going to use every resource we can, we've been fortunate. I think there's certain tiers of that as well, and obviously we're not at the we're not in that division right now to compete with the Texas and Oklahomas and those people, but we're competing with our level across the country, and we're going to use every resource we can. But been excited. There are still a lot of young men that just want to play football and get that college education. And those are the young men we've recruited here right now, and that's their focus. So, and we're excited to have those guys.
Yeah, I'll echo what Coach said, and I think that's the beauty also of being at the Division I FCS level. As we go through this year, we'll learn a lot about our competition. We'll learn a lot about what other institutions and programs are doing to be successful. But we have I think Coach summed it up best, just a really good group of guys that just want to compete. But I would also tie into the support from the community, the businesses, our corporate sponsors and partners. There's great opportunity out there now that we have the potential and the ability to do this through NCAA legislation. And so it's something we'll continue to monitor, we'll continue to work towards, and it's no secret that we want to win, we want to be successful, and so we'll utilize every tool and asset that we have here in the Rio Grande Valley, but at the same time be extremely good stewards of our donor support and our corporate support to ultimately make sure that we graduate our young men and young women, but also put them in a position to win championships.
Awesome. So this is another question for you and also for Chase. What would your response be to the skeptics that doubts UTRGV football's potential for success? Just hold on before you answer. There's probably HR on the call. So what would your response be?
Well, we talked to our team. We are picked dead last in our conference right now, so that kind of shows you where we start out. And our mindset right now is we just we keep our mouth shut and we keep our nose down and we go to work. And that's all we focus on every day is we focus on ourselves. And again, our success is a direct result of what we do every day and how we work and how we prepare. So really, we don't respond. If there's going to be doubts, there's going to be critics. Our motto is, again, keep our mouth shut and quietly kick people's tail. And once we start doing that, we say less.
Good response.
Yeah. Only thing I would add is, as we've all been on this journey together for several years, and Coach mentioned that I think Coach is going to be 971 days between maybe your hiring and kickoff. And then you go back to 2020, 2021 as we really started this journey as a university community with our students and the referendum. We all have faced skeptics all along and detractors all along in this journey, albeit limited. But there's certainly been conversations and maybe some doubt. I think to this point, I think we can all be really proud of what we've done together. I think we'd be proud that we have a sold out stadium, that we have unbelievable support from this community. That all of us as employees of the institution, we get to live in our communities. We get to go to HEB. We get to walk into the airport. We see our branding. We see what people are buying into. I think we have seen a complete evolution over the last several years. And while that doesn't necessarily equal wins, it will at some point. And as we all come together, stay together, I think there was a question in there about what coach and what we need from the community. Excitement is at an all-time high right now, but we need to keep it there, right? And this is a process, and I often reference birthing the baby, the football, and that this program is going to have to be nurtured, and it will crawl, it will walk, and sooner or later it's going to be on a dead sprint. And during that journey, if we can all stay together, stay committed to making this special, knowing that we all play a very important role in this, we can be whatever we want to be. And I think that's what excites all of us in athletics. I think our entire university community, certainly coach and our football program, is sticking together through this and proving any of those folks that had any negativity about what we've been doing or where we were heading and our vision. I think we can continue to prove everybody that this place is special, this institution is special, the region is special, and Division I football has been very long overdue for our university and for our region.
Just to piggyback off that, what would you need from staff? What would you need from the community to help encourage you, or what would you want from us to encourage you guys?
Everything they've been doing right now. I tell you what, this place is truly amazing, and it's fun to go up there and really brag about the Valley, and getting around our fellow conference coaches and other schools, and we've getting so much comments, and what kind of football's done for the university, and kind of the all the attention we've been getting across the country. But really, people are noticing what's going on. People are noticing people are noticing the university. People are noticing the fact that the support that's down here, and just wondering how we're getting so much support. And these programs have been around for years, and they don't get a portion of the support we get. But it's just fun to brag. That's the Valley, man. That's the people. That's who we are. And do something, we're gonna do it big. And this is big, and this is an exciting time. It's exciting time down here. It's exciting time for this university. It's only going to continue to grow. So I'm again so fun to watch it over the past 2 years, but it's going to be even more fun to watch it over the next 20, 30 years and where this goes. We can't thank everybody enough, but hey, the Valley's doing everything right, and they're going to continue to do that, and it's going to be fun to watch.
Chase?
Yeah, if you want, I can provide a couple of other updates. I think Coach summed that up best. Is there anything else, or do you want me to get into a few updates?
Yeah, if you can provide any updates with whoever you have.
Yeah, so a couple of key things. One, next Friday, August 1st, is a big date for us. We're going to be putting out a lot of content, a lot of information related to game day. And so that's something to keep a close eye on. I know we're getting a lot of really good questions about August 30th and all 7 home games at Backer Stadium. Rallythevalley.com. So many of you are probably familiar with that website. We have shifted gears in how we will utilize that website. That is really going to become game day central for everything that you need to know before kickoff. And so as you're going into game week, whether you're a student, whether you're a season ticket holder, tailgating, parking, traffic flow, game themes, tickets, anything that you need, rallythevalley.com is going to be the central spot to get all your game day information. There is a chance, while we're sold out with season tickets, and can't thank those of you in this meeting enough for your support there. Over 6,000 season tickets, and then not included in that, all 40 suites, all of our club seats, our loge seating, all of that is sold out multiple years. And to Coach's point earlier, I don't think you have even an idea of how important that is to us, not just from the financial support piece, but in recruiting and the perception of the program. That tells our story as much as anything. But we do have, obviously we play an opponent, and there's visiting team tickets that are allotted. And so there is a chance that if the visiting team that we're playing that week doesn't use their full allotment, that we may have a few tickets to put on sale prior to Saturday's game. And so the way that will work is the visiting team, if they don't use their full allotment, it could be 50 tickets, it could be 100 tickets. We have to wait until game week to determine what that number is, but those tickets would go on sale Friday before the home game on Saturday. And so we'll communicate that more as we get closer to August 30th, and that'll be the same process every week. For our students, as you all, some of you are enrolled in graduate programs and other programs on campus, but certainly interface with our students on campus. There's a separate process for our students. 25% of our stadium is going to be dedicated to student seating. And so as you all know, we are expanding Backer Stadium. The seating capacity will be close to 12,000. We're adding about 2,000 additional seats in the south end zone. Our students will claim their tickets week by week. And so we'll start communicating that process to them here in the next 5-10 days. We did some focus groups and town halls back in the spring with our students and student leaders. And so we were able to socialize that with them. But they will claim their tickets starting each Monday heading into Saturday's ball game. We're going to be announcing our game themes here probably next week. One thing to note that some of our campus partners may already be aware, homecoming is going to be October 25th. And so that's something that we will put out here next week. We also will be having a game that'll feature our 10th anniversary celebration as an institution. I think Dr. Ahmad, as he was speaking about everything that's coming together for UTRGV right now with the Surgery and Cancer Center, obviously the programs, optometry, podiatry, all of the things that we know about, and then you throw football in there. It's pretty neat that it's all happening at the 10th anniversary of our institution. And so we'll have a game to celebrate our university and the success over the past 10 years. And then really, I just want to thank everybody on this call, all of our campus partners that work so closely with us. I think that's something that can be underestimated as you're growing an athletics department. Obviously, football being a leader in that, but it takes tremendous support from the entire institution to do what we're doing. And so our campus partners have stepped up in such a big way. When you get to game day, if you think about it this way, there will be some 400 to 500 people working a college football game at Backer Stadium. And so that just shows you how many folks on campus are pulling together to make this a great experience for our student athletes and our program, but also making it a great experience for our students and our community. And so can't thank our partnerships here at the institution. And can't thank you enough for everything that you've done for us and will continue to do for us as we build this program and continue to grow intercollegiate athletics. And the last thing I'll say is we've had some questions about recruiting and perception and some of the things that maybe we face. We want to make sure that we are using athletics, certainly be a part of the fabric of the institution, but use it as a vehicle to tell the story of this university in this region. And I think Coach articulated that well earlier. Being at conference media days, hearing all of the the questions, but also people just intrigued with what we're doing, intrigued with the support. For them, it really seems fictional. For us, it's our reality every day, and we're so blessed. But we want to use those opportunities to tell the story of everything that is good about our university and our region, and football will certainly help us do that here this fall. But certainly open to answer any questions, and I know Coach is also available if there's some questions for him.
Yes, so if anybody has any questions for Coach Bush or Chase Conk, please put it in the chat or unmute yourself.
Yes, Coach Carlos. I know a lot of players are from out of the valley. I guess my question was, have they made how do they feel about the area that they're playing in? Have they been made to feel welcome? I mean, a lot of them haven't had a taco or something from around here. So just how do they like the food? How do they like the people, the area, the weather?
Yeah, no, that's great. And in fact, everyone, they've all fallen in love with it. And that's the biggest piece in recruiting. And that was the biggest thing, just get them down here. And it's hard for people that aren't familiar with the Rio Grande Valley in this region. Their only impression is kind of what they would see on the news. But as soon as they got them down here and got campus and realized, you know what, this is a metroplex down here. And you have everything down here that you have in San Antonio, Austin, Houston. They fell in love with the area as soon as they got on campus. But the biggest piece has been the people. And, they even and people would recognize them down here, whether it's we take them out on the recruiting trips, etc. But just they could sense the love, they could sense the the excitement from people. Random people would come up and just tell them how excited they were. But again, going back to looking at the fact that games are sold out and things that they're going to other places to visit and they're not seeing those things, and seeing the commitment to excellence from our administration and university on everything we're doing to make this a first class program. So but bottom line, they fall in love with it. They don't have a problem keeping weight on with all the good food down here. So but it's been a great process for everybody, and guys don't want to leave.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Hey, Coach. Coach Bush, first of all, best of luck to you and the team. You could tell you're passionate. You're excited for the season. So best of luck. Real quick, Coach, I saw in the profile that many players have the term red shirt next to them. I know what that means, but can you tell the group what red shirt means, the eligibility years they have, and just a real briefly summary of what red shirt means?
Yeah, basically it's a year where they didn't play. As young men come in, they have 4 years of eligibility to play, but they have 5 years to do it. So one of those years where they don't play a certain amount, that can count as a red shirt year. So obviously all the guys that came in last year that were on the team practice, they did not play a game, so that counts as a red shirt year. So even though this is their second year of school, they're now counted as red shirt freshmen. So they're still a freshman on the field. And they still have 4 years of eligibility left. So, others, and you'll see seniors, juniors, but that red shirt year just means that extra year they did not play in games.
Thank you, Coach.
Sir.
Thank you. Chase, is there an option for staff to volunteer for game day?
At this time, uncertain if there'll be those type of opportunities, but I appreciate the possible offer here. It does take a village, and we are leaning heavily on our campus partners and a lot of our staff on campus, but certainly something we'll keep in mind. I think we had several of our athletic administrators on this call, and so if the opportunity is there to utilize some of our institutional resources and our friends here on campus, we will certainly let you guys know. Thank you for that.
Awesome. Is there any further questions for Coach Bush or Chase Conk?
No, just go get him, Coach.
You got it. Appreciate y'all so much. Thanks for all the support.
No, thank you both for coming on to Staff Senate. We appreciate you. We want to wish you the best of luck and also a healthy season.
Yes.
So go back at us.
Thank y'all. These up.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on with our agenda, we have Dr. Willem Miller, Dean of School of Optometry.
Yes, good morning, and thank you for the privilege to speak to the Staff Senate today. I'm gonna give a shout out to Chase and to Coach. You better win the game against the team from San Antonio, because I have a son-in-law who is a former running back for that team. So please, I don't want to hear a lot of trash talking from him when I finally see him in a couple of weeks after the game. So please, beat them bad.
You'll get our best, no doubt. Thank you.
Thanks. Again, it's an honor to be here. Let me just describe who I am, and then I'll talk a little bit about where we are as a school of optometry. We're still in our early stages. I've only been here 6 months, and I'm going to echo what Coach and Chase said about the Valley. And I've had a privilege to visit the Valley on multiple occasions. I did a lot of continuing education lectures down in the Valley when I was in San Antonio, when I was in Houston. And so I was familiar with the Valley, but the welcoming spirit that has been here, the open arms from not only the community, but the staff, the faculty, for sure the administration, has really been great. And I look forward to as I build my team, having them feel that welcoming spirit as they come on board. I started my career, graduated from optometry school at Ohio State University. I still refer to it as Ohio State and not the Ohio State because that transition was made later on after I left. So I got my optometry degree at Ohio State University, stayed on there, did a residency/master's degree. My residency was in contact lenses. So if any of you are contact lens wearers and you have questions about contact lenses, please email me. I've been doing this a fairly long time. I stayed on at Ohio State and did a PhD. My PhD was in physiological optics. That's the old name for vision science. My PhD dissertation was actually in refractive surgery. So, so if you have refractive surgery questions, you can send those my way as well. And so from there, I graduated from Ohio State with my PhD and optometry degree and took a job at Southern College of Optometry in Memphis, Tennessee. And so I was there for 5 years, then moved to the University of Houston, spent time at the University of Houston, moving up the ranks, left at the University of Houston as chair of the Clinical Sciences Department, took a job at the University of Incarnate Word. That's the team we need to beat in the fall. I was at the University of Incarnate Word for almost 10 years, where I served as the Associate Dean for Academic Affairs. And so here I am, the new inaugural Dean of the School of Optometry, and we are building our team. And I have been spending time with local optometrists. And in fact, I have a local optometry society meeting tonight at the Santa Fe restaurant. So they have their local society there, which is not a bad place to have a meal. And then I've also been meeting with local ophthalmologists. In fact, my team met with a local ophthalmologist yesterday. And so we're trying to network, trying to build relationships, because ultimately we will need outside practitioners to serve our fourth-year students as extern locations, because they will do extern rotations. My team right now consists of 3 people. So it's very small. So it's me. I have Felicia Garza, who many of you probably know. I pulled her away from HR. So Felicia's been doing a fantastic job. I have Abdiel Garcia, who is handling all my money, and he's my school administrator. And then I have many of you know Dr. Fred Farias. Fred is now the Associate Dean for External Relations. And he's busy building those continued relationships, not only in the Valley, but the rest of Texas. And so, and in fact, right now he's in Austin. He may be on this call, but he's in Austin working up right now. I also hired, and he's due to start August 1st, Dr. Yutaka Maki. Dr. Maki will be the Associate Dean for Academic Affairs. He's a graduate of the State University of New York. So he will bring his young family down here. We also have an offer letter out for an associate dean or an associate professor and director of student engagement. And we have a search open for an associate dean of clinical affairs. I think many of you know we already have an existing vision center that's part of the UT Health RGV. And so at some point in time, that vision center will come under the umbrella of the School of Optometry. And so there are 2 optometrists there. I would suggest, if any of you have not had an eye exam within 2 years, yes, Rolando, you need to go over and see our docs at the Vision Center. So Dr. Flores Hernandez and Dr. Flores can take care of you. And so that is already existing. They've got a nice patient base there. What I want to talk about is what is optometry, because everybody gets confused. Optometry versus ophthalmology, what's the difference? What does one do? And at the risk of oversimplification, ophthalmologists are surgeons. So cataract surgery, refractive surgery, retinal surgeries, complex glaucoma surgery and glaucoma follow-up. That would be under an ophthalmologist, so a medical provider, a medical doctor. Optometrists, doctors of optometry, take care of glasses, take care of contact lenses, but also do much more than that. So sometimes we stop with that, but we also treat and diagnose disease. We also do vision therapy. We also do low vision. We also do, actually, following the football, we actually do sports vision. So there's actually a segment of optometry that does sports vision. And in that particular discipline, they look to enhance vision. So it's not just to get it to 2020 or 2015. It's to actually enhance it beyond what they might. So they might be 2020, but it's to actually enhance it so that they have hand-eye coordination. And so they can catch that pass from the quarterback running that 20 yards down, right? And so that's what sports vision does. So in the state of Texas, and by the way, optometry is a legislated profession. What that means is each state is different in what is allowable by optometry. So in the states that surround Texas, optometrists in those states can actually do injections and lasers. And in the state of Texas, those procedures are not allowable. However, in our institution, we're going to plan a curriculum that will be taught at the highest extent of any state in the country. So whatever's allowable, they will be taught at the School of Optometry, at the UTRGV School of Optometry. So right now, where are we in the process? Because that's the other question I get. Where are you in this? And when are you going to open? And how many students are you going to take? How many faculty are you going to have? So right now, we are in a staged process from our accreditors. The great thing is I sat on the Accreditation Council for 5 years. So many of these folks I know very, very well. That doesn't give me any break for sure. They have to go by the standards. And so we have actually made it to stage 1 accreditation. We will go for stage 2 accreditation in February of 26. We will not hear from them until probably May. If it's successful, then within a 6-month period after May, so from May to about November, they will have a site visit to the university and to the school. So within that time frame. And so we're looking to take our first class in the fall of 2027. And so right now we're on target to do that, with hopefully recruitment taking place in late fall of 2026 and taking on students in 2027. We will take 40 students, which is actually the perfect number. So we'll be very similar to the School of Podiatric Medicine. We will take 40 students. Our focus is going to be on the Valley. That will be our focus, as well as West Texas. We'll stay away from the metropolitan area because there are two other institutions in the state, one at the University of Houston, one at the University of Incarnate Word. And so we'll stay to West Texas and the Valley, but we will also be recruiting nationally. So we will also go outside the walls of Texas and recruit nationally for our students. I'm also looking to hire 21 faculty members. What we want to do is have a unique program that has a lot of team-based learning. So we need to make sure everything is small. And so I'll hire 21 faculty members, as well as have 4 administrators to take care of the students. And what we want to graduate is excellent optometrists, world-class optometrists who can take care of the public, very mission-focused, very community-focused, and with many of those hopefully staying in the Valley. Because many times the data, the research shows us that many medical professionals stay in an area, especially optometry, stay in an area where they graduated. And so if you graduated from the University of Houston, you're typically in the Houston metro area. And so our goal is to keep those individuals here. The Valley itself has half the number of optometrists per population than the rest of the state. The state has less optometrists than the rest of the country. So there is very much a need. So when I visit optometrists, very much a need. They're looking for people to take over the practice. They want to retire. They want to have a colleague join them. When I visit ophthalmology, same ophthalmologist. I need an optometrist. We're looking for optometrists. We can't find optometrists. I know, being at the two other institutions in the state of Texas, that we used to have students from the Valley at both of those institutions. I'm hoping to keep those students here. So I'm hoping to keep them in the Valley, come here. Tuition price point will be low. It'll be similar to the School of Podiatric Medicine and the School of Medicine. It'll be lower than the other two institutions. It'll be slightly lower than the other state institution at UH. It'll be half the price of the institution in San Antonio. And so our goal is that students come out with a very low debt load and get an excellent education at the same time. And so there's a great need here. We all know, we all see our family members, our friends. There's a lot of diabetes, a lot of hypertension, cancer. Many times, there are times when optometrists, being a primary healthcare provider, are the first lines of defense. So a patient may come to see me, and they may not go to their PCP because they're coming to me to get this. They're coming to me to get contact lenses. And in the course of a regular comprehensive eye exam, I notice hemorrhages in the back of their eye, in their retina, which is a sign of diabetic retinopathy. And so a patient may be diagnosed first at their local optometrist. And so it's so important as a first line defense, as a healthcare professional, that we have more optometrists, not only in the Valley, but in the rest of Texas. And so class size of 40, faculty of 21. We do have a location. It's not a secret anymore. We are looking to close probably in early fall on the property at McAllen Monitor Building. So the McAllen Monitor Building, which is on Jackson, which is just down the road from the Cancer Center and from the Vision Center, actually. That is the building where we will have not only the academic side of the program, but also the clinic. So we will build a clinic there that'll have probably about 22 to 25 exam rooms that'll be open to the public. So it'll be open to the public, it'll be open to faculty, it'll be open to staff to come and get eye exams by a student who's being supervised by an optometrist. Okay, so yes, the exam may take a little longer, but it's going to be cheaper and you're going to get a very thorough exam. Most patients say they've never had that thorough of an exam. And so we will have a clinic and an academic institution right at that location on Jackson. Our students are going to be coming to us with 4 years of undergraduate. So gone are the days in optometry where you could get in after 2 or 3. Right now, the standard is they've got a degree. They've got an undergraduate degree from a university. They've got to take an entrance examination that's called OAT for us. And then they can matriculate. They can enter our program. Our program is a 4-year program. The first 2 years are heavy on basic and vision science. The last 2 years are heavy on clinic. The 4th year, they spend one semester in the building here in the Valley and 2 semesters out at an externship site. So after 4 years, they will graduate. They will need to take 3 parts of a national board exam before they can be licensed in the state of Texas, and for that matter, any state in the United States. So you have to go through a 3-step process. We're going to build the curriculum to make sure that these students pass that very important national board examination. I think some of us know I was a first-generation student. I did horrible on standardized test. I mean, absolutely horrible. And my parents didn't know how to counsel me. And many times that's the case with first-gen students is standardized testing is very difficult. And so we're going to build into our program a continued repetitive curriculum that reinforces especially the basic science and the vision science over the course of their 3 years, which is when they will first take the #1 national board exam is in their 3rd year. And so we'll make sure they have that. Just so you all know, and then I'll take some questions. As I said, there are only 2 programs right now in the state of Texas, optometry. We will be the 3rd. We will be the 2nd state institution in the state of Texas. There are only 27 optometry programs in the country. There is 1 in Puerto Rico, and there are 2 in Canada. That's it. That's all there is in the entire United States. And so I usually tell faculty, don't burn bridges because we all know each other. Like it's a small group. So just play nice in the sandbox with each other. And so it's a great profession. It's a great career. It allows you to balance. For anybody that comes to you and asks you about optometry, you can have a work-life balance with optometry. There's lots of possibilities. You can do part-time. You can work for an ophthalmologist. You can work in a multi-optometry practice. You can open up your own private practice. You can work in industry. You can work in a commercial establishment. Lots and lots of opportunities. We're also going to push, as you might think, we have a health profession, we have a health affairs division that we're now forming. We will be collaborating with all the other health professions. So I've had multiple discussions with the deans. And so, as you might imagine, a diabetic not only affects the eyes, it affects feet. So School of Podiatric Medicine affects other body systems. So whatever's happening in the retinal vasculature, the retinal vessels, is happening everywhere else in the body. I just get to see it firsthand as an optometrist because I can actually see their blood vessels. Everywhere else, it's hidden. I can't see the brain blood vessels, at least not without some exotic imaging. But I can see it with a dilated exam. And I can see changes that are taking place, and I can see hemorrhages. And typically, I tell my patients, if I'm seeing this in your retina, it's going on elsewhere. It's going on elsewhere. And so you need to get that sugar under control. That glucose needs to be under control. And so I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be forming a team. The Valley is great. We've acclimated very, very well. The food is fantastic. San Antonio has its Tex-Mex, but great food here in the Valley. And so it's a pleasure to speak with all of you, and I'll take questions. If you don't feel like you won't ask questions now, you can shoot me an email. It's easy. It's william.miller@utrgv.edu. Thank you. Thank you, Rolando. Thank you all for listening.
No, thank you, Dr. Miller, for all this information. I do have a question. So where do you see the School of Optometry in 5 or even 10 years?
I see us as producing optometrists that make a difference in their community. And so hopefully that community is the Valley or that community is Texas. But then also many of those, hopefully 30% of those graduating optometrists going on to do a residency. Residencies are not mandatory in optometry like they are in medicine. So to have 30% of a class would be higher than most other institutions. And so I'd like to see 30% of our students graduating and becoming residents or going into a residency, which gives them a little bit extra. I want to see in 5 to 10 years the community going, hey, have you been over to the optometry clinic, the School of Optometry Clinic? Have you gotten an eye exam over there? I went over there and had an eye exam, and they did a fantastic job. Got a great pair of glasses, got a great pair of contact lenses, got sunglasses because the sun is out all the time here. And I need to protect my eyes. So that's what I see. I see as sort of this beacon in the Valley, trying to use optometry kind of, a light in the Valley that sort of attracts people to get their eye exams here and to take care of the underserved, those that don't have access into other eye care practitioners.
And that'd be really good to go into the communities that are not
Yep.
low income, just to
Yep.
have like a little clinic. I have a question. What causes halos after cataract surgery? Do they ever go away?
It can be caused by many things. So one can be caused by swelling. That will go away. So if there's swelling, and the swelling can come from any of the structures, typically it would come from the cornea, the front of the eye. And so it can come from that. The halos could come from the intraocular lens itself. That's probably more problematic. And so some lenses are more prone to that. So if it's like let's say it's a multifocal, which is kind of like a bifocal, but they put in an intraocular lens, which sits inside the eye. That can give patients sort of a halo effect, or kind of like what we sometimes call kind of an after image effect. Sometimes that will go away. Sometimes the patient will ignore it over time. It's sort of like, in that case, it's sort of like me. I have floaters, and many of you on this call probably have floaters. Floaters are those things, you see those black things that kind of just move around, and you could never quite catch them, and they have all kinds of configurations. I really don't notice them unless I'm looking at a certain visual scene. The retina in the brain just decides to ignore it. So sometimes in that case, if somebody has some halos, they just learn to ignore it. But if they continue on for multiple months, that probably necessitates a visit back to the surgeon just to get it checked out.
Okay. There's a lot of people in the Valley who go over to Mexico to get services. Do you see that the School of Optometry can change that?
That's the goal. That's the goal. The goal is to keep those patients here. And so what I'd like to do is have a sliding scale in our clinic, a sliding scale based on the ability to pay. My philosophy is that giving away free things typically undervalues a service. Doing a sliding scale based on the ability to pay is a better way to go, because somebody then sees the value in what they're getting. Obviously, Rolando, you kind of touched on this. We will be going into the community doing community service events pro bono, and we'll be doing that free of charge. But in this case, it's attracting them, keeping them here. I have some, and there's great care that takes place in Mexico, but I have a couple of horror stories of contact lens fittings that I had to follow up on from patients I had that went to Mexico and had refractive surgery. And it was not pretty. I remember two individuals, their faces right now, I can see their faces. They were awful. And I had to fit them with a rigid gas permeable contact lens because their vision would fluctuate throughout the day. And so I want to keep them here and render services here and make it convenient for them to get their eye care here.
Going back to what you mentioned about floaters, do you recommend, if somebody does have that often, to stop using contact lenses?
No, floaters and contact lenses wouldn't be are not associated with each other. Floaters are just debris that's in sort of the back of the eye, and sometimes it's just the normal aging process over time. And so you get those little strings and whatever. I was trained as a contact lens practitioner, even though I do wear glasses. I'm a big fan of contact lenses. I think contact lenses are fantastic. At the end of the day, you get to remove them. And so it's great for correcting vision. And these days, you also have myopia control, and many of you have probably heard about that. So there's actually myopia control lenses, contact lenses, and spectacles, glasses that are starting to come onto the market that actually doesn't correct nearsightedness, but it does slow down nearsightedness. And so if you have a 7 or an 8 or a 9-year-old child and you start to see their prescription moving up, you can get them in myopia control or nearsighted control, and that will slow down that progression. And so that's another benefit to contact lenses.
What are the educational requirements and what are you looking for a student candidate?
Looking for passionate students, passionate about optometry, who do well in the sciences. So they've got to have the fundamental prerequisites, and we're working on those right now. That's part of our accreditation process. So we're trying to define the prerequisites, but it's the typical things that you see in medical school. So it would be things like calculus and organic chemistry and biochemistry and what else? English. Those are sort of the prerequisites. And then on the OAT, which is that entrance exam, we'd like to see something above 310. If I see somebody that gets a 400 and the scale goes from like 100 to 800, that doesn't go up to 800. It probably goes to 600. If you're if you're above 310, you've done very, very well. Now, we will take a holistic approach because, as I said earlier, some students don't do well on a standardized exam. And we always see that as a slice in time. It was just a slice. So we're going to look at not only the OAT, we're going to look at their undergraduate, we're going to look at progression. How well did you do from freshman year to senior year and your undergraduate? I mean, maybe it rocked you in your freshman year like it did me. My freshman year didn't look good, but I progressed and I got better. We'll look at activities, curricular activities. We'll look at did you serve? Did you go to an optometry office and shadow an optometrist? So we're going to look at that holistic approach, but we're looking at 310 on an OAT. Something above a 3.0 on grade point average, hopefully higher than that on sciences. Those are kind of the things that we're looking at for a good student.
Okay. Would you recommend LASIK surgery if a person has hypertension?
Repeat that again, Rolando.
Would you recommend if somebody has hypertension, is having LASIK surgery okay?
It is cautiously. So I think it's fine to do that. If I were to compare a hypertensive with a diabetic, I would say a hypertensive, yes, LASIK would be fine. Diabetic, I'd really worry because, especially if they're uncontrolled diabetic, because with LASIK, you have to rely on the cornea healing, and we all know diabetics don't heal correctly and or as rapidly. And so I would say if you're hypertensive, you're under some control, I'd say that's fine to have LASIK.
Okay. Is there any tips to improve night vision?
That's a great question. I laugh because I'm having problems with night vision. Part of it is the aging process. So I always tell my patients, it's a risk factor is the number of birthdays that you've had. So the older you become, the more cloudy that lens inside the eye becomes. And part of that's due to ultraviolet radiation. Part of it's other environmental factors, part of it's smoking. I mean, there are many other things that cause that to get kind of cloudy. And when that gets cloudy, we start to suffer from a lot of glare and scattered light. And that's really problematic at night, especially with headlights. And so there's not much you can do about that until your cataracts, till that cloudiness gets bad enough to necessitate surgery. If it's caused by swelling, so let's say you're a contact lens wearer and you're overwearing your contact lens. First of all, shame on you for overwearing your contact lens. Should not do that. But if you're overwearing your contact lens, you can get corneal swelling or edema. That can be solved by just wearing your contact lens correctly. So any kind of swelling in the cornea, the front part of the eye, can also cause problems at night and night driving because of that glare factor. I'm remembering a patient I had when I was doing my studies for my PhD. I actually did PRK. I did patients with PRK. This is early days of refractive surgery. And I asked the patient to look at my light. I said, look at, Mr. Jones, look at my light. And he said, which one? And I said, there's only one. And he said, I see 12. Well, that's a problem. It did not go well for him for his refractive surgery.
Oh, no.
Thank goodness things have gotten so much better since those days.
I don't want to take up too much of your time, but thank you so much for joining us today. There are still some questions in the chat if you have time, if you
Sure.
can answer them. But then thank you again for joining us here at Staff Senate. We really do appreciate you, and welcome to Future TV.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your time. Great seeing all of you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Moving on with our guest speakers, we have Daniel Hernandez. He is a pharmacy manager and from Clinical Support Services.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for the introduction. I've been asked to present a PowerPoint presentation, so I'll get to that in just a bit. But let me just tell you a little bit about myself. I am from the Valley, born and raised. I actually started off as an Edinburgh Bobcat, and then moved over to Harlingen, where I became the enemy, the Cardinals. So graduated as a Harlingen Cardinal. I spent some of my earliest years actually on the campus of Pan Am. Both my parents had me while they were young, and I remember times when my dad would be playing racquetball at the racquetball courts, and he would stick me in the corner, and he would just tell me, "Stay still, don't move." So have a lot of memories of spending some time here on campus. I never thought I'd be coming back and working here, so it's very exciting. So basically today, I want to tell you what's going on currently at our oncology infusion services. Oncology pharmacy, it's very exciting, and it's obviously very different from retail pharmacy, from hospital pharmacy. And I just kind of want to tell you a little bit about how I came to this particular profession, specifically in oncology. So, I graduated from UT back in '92, and I came back to the Valley. A lot of my friends who graduated from high school, went off to other places. But I did come back to the Valley. For you younger folks out there, I worked at this place called Kmart. It may not have been around when you were born, but worked at Kmart for a few months, worked at Valley Baptist for about 5 years, then worked at Walmart for 5 years. So, over that 10-year period, had experience in both retail as well as in hospital pharmacy, which really did help prepare me for a career in ambulatory cancer care centers. After Walmart, I did get a job at Texas Oncology. So I started my oncology pharmacy journey essentially about 25 years ago at Texas Oncology in Harlingen. And I'm so glad that I did, because that's where I really found my passion. I've always been passionate about pharmacy. I actually come from a family of pharmacists. My uncle, who's my godfather, is a pharmacist. His two brothers are pharmacists. I have a couple of cousins that are pharmacists. My sister's a pharmacist. Anyway, the list goes on. We basically have a cartel of pharmacists. Nothing nefarious, I promise. So, but really, oncology pharmacy was something that was new to me. It was a little nerve-wracking, initially, because it is a field that deals with hazardous drugs. And it's a profession where you're dealing with people who are very sick. And so we started off at Texas Oncology, and over time, I really became more comfortable with the oncology drugs, the different types of regimens, the treatments, really began to understand the different modalities of treatment for cancer among the different cancer types. And so as my expertise grew in that, I was able to bring on students from UT. So I was a preceptor for the UT College of Pharmacy, and then later on for the cooperative program between Pan Am, which started their pharmacy program. It was a cooperative program between Pan Am and the University of Texas College of Pharmacy, where essentially students would do their first 2 years here in the Valley, their next 2 years in Austin, and then their last 2 years here in the Valley. And during that last year, they would do ambulatory care rotations. So I was a preceptor for ambulatory care rotations. And it was a great experience being able to share, with these young folks what oncology pharmacy is all about. So I do miss those days because eventually, after a while, I did become an area pharmacy manager. So for Texas Oncology, I oversaw about 11 pharmacies, basically from Waco down. And so it was really during that period that I really began to understand, sort of the business side of oncology, and really understand, how to manage some of the costs associated with these medications and how to deal with, insurance reimbursement and all of that. And of course, so all of that experience, really helped me be qualified to, assist and to bring oncology pharmacy, to UTRGV. So it's been quite a journey. I was actually hired 2 years ago because, we knew that the cancer center wasn't going to be ready right away. But the oncologists who were on board were eager to start seeing patients. So we did start oncology services or cancer care services at our ION building about a year ago and started seeing patients there. So at the ION, they have a 4-chair infusion suite, and we were able to start seeing patients at that point. So that's been a lot of fun, being able to start before the cancer center opened, developing relationships with the oncologists, with the nursing, really with every member of the oncology team. Because, one of the things that's great about, working in the cancer care or the community cancer care setting is that it really is a team effort. My interactions aren't just with patients. It's not just with nurses. It's with everybody. So we're constantly interacting with each other, with nurses, with lab, with the billing office, with the person that does the prior authorization, and of course with the physician. So, as we work together, we understand what everyone's role is, and we understand, when, if, for example, a patient's going to have a medication change, who needs to know about it, and those types of things, because it affects basically everything. Whether their insurance is going to pay for it, when they should be scheduled, what types of procedures are going to require before they start treatment. And so, that's, I think, one of the real great benefits of the job is the team that we build around, treating these patients. Okay, so enough about myself. Let me go ahead and get to the PowerPoint presentation. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. And tell me if y'all can see that. Let's see.
No.
No?
Not
Okay.
yet.
Let's see. Okay, let me do that.
We just see your Teams chat. Okay. If you
Okay,
can
see
make it
that?
in presentation mode.
All right, here we go.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, oops, that's not it. Hold on. Sorry, that's the wrong PowerPoint presentation. Hold on. Let me. How did that get there? Here we go. This is the one. Okay.
Yes, we
Okay,
can see your
so
screen.
okay. So I'm actually in the cancer center right now. We were able to come in a couple of weeks ago. That's why my office looks so plain. So that's the excuse for that. So I really want to share with you what it is that we do in an oncology, pharmacy, and kind of explain what our role is. And I figured the best way to do that was just to sort of go through the different areas. So I'll be sharing pictures with you of the new pharmacy, which I'm really excited about. Probably, more giddy about each room that I'm going to show than you could ever understand. But trust me when I say that this pharmacy that they've constructed here is really the best pharmacy I've ever seen for the oncology setting. It's certainly better than any other oncology pharmacy, in the different ambulatory settings here in the Valley. So very excited to be, working in this space once everything's ready to go. So basically, I'm going to focus on the infusion pharmacy services. We will be in the very near future not only providing infusion pharmacy services, essentially the chemotherapy that we'll be infusing here at the infusion suite. We'll also be eventually providing specialty retail pharmacy, as well as very soon research pharmacy services. Recently UTRGV received about a $20 million grant from CPRIT, and some of that money is going to be earmarked specifically for building up our research pharmacy practice to ensure that we can participate in research, looking at some of the newer drugs, including newer medications for oncology. Like I have on the slide there, it really is a very exciting time in oncology. It's just amazing how many new drugs are coming out, how many studies are currently ongoing, and how much all the treatments have changed among the different cancer types. And just as an example, so this is something that I got from McKesson. They're the wholesaler that we utilize. And it's just amazing how many new drugs, again, have come out already and how many new drugs are coming on the pipeline. So we're looking at about 309 new branded and innovator molecules that'll be marketed by 2028. It's already very hard to keep up with all the new drugs that are coming out, but there's a large number of drugs down the pipeline. And again, these are new and different molecules. In the past, whenever new drugs would come out, they were oftentimes very similar to existing drugs or within the same class, sort of a situation where the mechanisms of action were, really the same. But with these new technologies that we have now, we're able to identify particular mutations in a gene. We're able to identify specific proteins that are driving a cancer. And then once those are discovered, drug companies more and more are able to create a medication that'll target those specific proteins or genes. So we're seeing more and more of these drugs, that are made specifically to do that. In the past, we used traditional cytotoxic chemotherapy agents, which led to a lot of side effects because they weren't particularly targeted. They essentially would kill any cell that was rapidly dividing. With these medications, it can be more targeted and less of the traditional side effects that we've seen in the past. So, it's all very exciting. Of course, what's happening now is because of these new drugs are coming out, it seems like every 2 weeks, the pathways or the NCC guidelines are constantly changing. So it's really, important that we stay on top of those guidelines to make sure that we're offering the latest treatments and following the latest guidelines. And you can see there what they're projecting in sales is $62.7 billion. And so what that speaks to is not only how many new drugs are coming out, but how expensive these medications are. We're dealing with extremely expensive medications. And so one of our jobs in the pharmacy is to manage that, manage the costs that are associated with these medications, as well as manage the inventory. I don't want to order a $24,000 drug and then have it expire on me 6 months from now. I don't think they'd be very happy with me. So this is the main room of the pharmacy. It is huge. I've never worked in a pharmacy this big before. There's 4 of us. So again, I'm the pharmacy manager. A few months ago, we hired Arnold Villarreal. He's a pharmacist also with oncology experience in the ambulatory setting, as well as in the hospital setting. We have Rochelle Gonzalez, who is our senior technician. She's been in the oncology setting for at least 20 years and has vast experience, which is something that we were looking for. And then we have Kathy. Kathy has worked not in the oncology setting, but she has worked in the infusion setting. And so one of the things that we'll be doing is training Kathy to work with hazardous drugs, which is something that is very prominent in this particular field, because most of the drugs that we deal with, not all of them, but most of the drugs that we deal with are hazardous. So in the main room, essentially, this is where the pharmacists will be doing their clinical activities, monitoring new orders, Before anything is dispensed, we assess the patient in terms of their lab work, making sure that their liver function's fine, their renal function is fine, making sure the doses are fine. Most of these doses are based on their body surface area. Patients' weights can change over time. And so that can all affect the dosing. And so we check that and verify that everything is fine before we release the medication. But also this is where we're involved in pharmacy-led initiatives. So, one of the initiatives that we have is biosimilars. So essentially, when a doctor writes for one of these newer monoclonal antibodies, some of these monoclonal antibodies, they don't have generics. They have what we call biosimilars. And so, we work with the doctors to select a biosimilar that would be, best for the patient, but also financially best for us. There are some of these medications that are actually underwater where, it costs us more than what Medicare reimburses us. So, we meet with McKesson on a quarterly basis to go over those medications and make sure, that we're not dispensing medications that are losing us money. Of course, there's the dispensing part of it as well, so the actual preparation of the medication, verifying that the medications that we're preparing are correct, and verifying, the in-process checks. So we'll look at the medications that the technicians are mixing during the process of mixing, and then we'll do a final product check as well before they're dispensed. Again, a lot of these drugs are very hazardous. A mistake can be serious, can lead to serious consequences. And so we have many checks in place to ensure that, we don't dispense anything that shouldn't be dispensed. And having 2 pharmacists on staff is very important because we're able to do a pharmacist double check. And of course, like I mentioned earlier, inventory management is very important. These drugs, in fact, our very first patient that we ever treated, she was on a medication called Cetrus. Cetrus cost us $24,000 a dose. So she ended up receiving 8 doses. Each dose cost us $24,000. So, we've worked with the other members of the oncology team to ensure that we have a process to make sure that, we secured a prior authorization. We have a financial counselor that'll speak to the patient to let them know what their responsibilities are going to be. If we find out that a patient can't afford this, then we do work, with the patient in order to find resources available to them. So we can find copay assistance either through a manufacturer if they're not on Medicare. If they're on Medicare, there's lots of different foundations out there that we can tap into to see if there's any medication available or any money, I should say, available for their copay. And in cases where there are no copay assistance foundations or coupons available, then we'll work directly with the manufacturer of the drug of the medication, and in 99.9% of the cases we can secure free drugs. So we do work hard to make sure that we can treat everybody, those that are well insured, those that are underinsured, and those that don't have insurance. And so that's something that we're very proud of. We've been able to secure free drug for several of our patients, and we've been able to secure copay assistance for many of our patients that otherwise wouldn't be able to afford the medication. So, and of course, that's something that we'll continue to do. So moving on to the ante room. So this actually opens up, we'll be facing the main room. So this ante room has a sliding door. This is where we go in and we garb up. So we have to, when we're mixing either non-hazardous or hazardous medications, because we have to ensure that they're sterile, there's processes that we have to follow. The rooms are environmentally controlled to ensure that the environment will help us create a sterile environment. Well, not a sterile environment, but it will help us ensure that we create a sterile product. So the rooms have to follow USP 797 guidelines, essentially. So that room that you're looking at right there has positive pressure against the pharmacy main room so that no air from the outside will go into these rooms. So that's something that has to be maintained. There's a monitor there on the right-hand side of the door I don't know if you can see it, but it has a little bit of green. That green light is telling us it's okay. So what it's monitoring is the pressure of the room. So there's specific pressures that have to be, the air pressure coming out, the positive air pressure has to be within a certain range. There has to be a certain number of air changes per hour as well. The rooms are required to be below 68 degrees, and the humidity has to be below 60, which is quite a challenge here in the Valley. But, you know, we are working with our HVAC team to make that happen. So it's in this room, you know, where we do our garbing. You know, we put on our gowns, our booties, our face mask. Yes, I have to wear a hairnet, and we then will proceed to washing our hands, you know, per USP 797 guidelines, and then we'll move into the buffer rooms. So again, this is the ante room where we garb. Where we actually mix the products is called a buffer room. So I'm actually standing here in the ante room, taking a picture into the buffer room. So, you know, one of the standards is that the doors be handless, you know, so, you know, once we wash our hands, once we put on our gloves, we shouldn't be touching anything other than the product. So that's why we have the sliding doors. We just basically wave our hand in front of a sensor and it'll open the door. This room is a non-chemo buffer room. This has to have positive pressure versus the ante room. So again, this is all part of the environmental controls to ensure that we create the space that we need. Within those rooms, you'll see those two hoods. Those are laminar flow hoods. And so it's in those hoods that we're actually mixing the non-chemotherapy. That hood creates what they call an ISO 5 environment, which essentially, you know, the way the ISO standards are met is by measuring the particle count. So super low particle count in the ISO 5 environment within the hood. All the rooms are ISO 7. So again, you know, much cleaner than you would have outside of a clean room. And again, this whole area is called the clean room suite. So again, with this particular room, there's 30 air changes per hour. It's an ISO 7. The same temperature requirements below 68, humidity is below 60, and positive pressure. During this process, you know, once the technicians are ready to mix the chemotherapy, or I'm sorry, mix the non-chemotherapy, the pharmacist will check the ingredients through a dispense prep using the Epic EMR system. Essentially, what they'll be doing is they'll be scanning the barcodes of the medications and of the bags that the medications will be injected into to ensure that we have the right medication. So, you know, just another check to ensure the medications are correct. You know, we're humans. We are susceptible to, you know, confirmational bias and those types of things. That can lead to mistakes, you know, especially as we get busier. So having things like the dispense prep within Epic is very important to make sure that we minimize those or eliminate those. So sterile prep compounding. So the pharmacists and the technicians have to meet training requirements in order to be able to mix sterile prep. So it's not just a matter of having all the environmental controls in place. If we're not mixing using proper aseptic technique, you know, there's still the possibility of contamination. So not only do we have to have that initial training, so many hours of training through an accredited pharmacy education provider, we also have to have annual process validations and written testing. So every year, we will examine or observe the technicians and the pharmacists as they're garbing to make sure they're garbing correctly and within the right order, make sure their hand washing is done correctly, and make sure that they're following proper aseptic technique. During that process, they'll also be injecting into an auger bag, you know, several different manipulations. And then we'll put that auger bag in an incubator and we'll test it 24 hours, 72 hours, 1 week, and 14 days later, I'm sorry, to ensure that there's no growth. So there's lots of these things put in place to make sure that, you know, we have the staffing training and the staffing competencies required in order to ensure that we're providing sterile products. In addition to that, we have to test the rooms to make sure that they're clean and that there's no, you know, bacterial contamination or fungal contamination. So we'll do routine auger plate testing where we'll get an auger plate, we'll put it to the surface of an area within the pharmacy, several areas of the pharmacy. It could be the walls, it could be, you know, the hood, outside the hood, and we'll test those also for any type of fungal or bacterial growth. the viral room. So this is another room that opens up into the anteroom. This particular room, again, all these rooms have to follow USP guidelines, but this particular room also has to follow USP 800 guidelines. And so the USP 800 guidelines are specifically for chemo or hazardous drugs. So in the viral room, we'll prepare biological agents such as BCG. And BCG is actually a live a live bacteria, which, can be hazardous if there's any type of exposure. So with these types of admixtures, it requires another level of security, double gowning, double gloving, even double booties. So again, there's additional training required to mix hazardous drugs, and there's additional testing that's done to make sure that we're doing it properly. This room does have to be at a negative pressure. You don't want a hazardous room that's spewing air outwards. You want anything that occurs in this room to be contained in that room. So there is monitoring sensors on the room, again, to monitor for the temperature, for the pressure, but also to ensure that we have negative pressure at all times within that room. What I will say is that this particular viral room is unique to UTRGV Oncology. All the other ambulatory oncology pharmacies do not have a room like this. If they need to mix something like BCG, they'll do it in the regular hazardous drug chemo room. But what happens in that situation is that once that's done in their biological safety cabinet, they'll have to completely clean, disinfect, decontaminate the biological safety cabinet, and they'll have to wait 30 minutes before they can mix anything else in there. So it is a process. It's very nice that we have this viral room. And as you can see, this hood does look a little bit different. What you'll notice is that it's actually vented outside. So all the air that is circulating within that biological safety cabinet eventually is vented outside through a HEPA filter to ensure that none of that air is circulating within the room. And again, the main reason is to protect the employees that are mixing this. And so this is the chemo buffer room, and I know I'm getting short on time, so I'll make it quick. So essentially, this room has the same requirements as the viral room. The only difference is that instead of mixing biologics, we're mixing hazardous chemotherapy drugs. So again, even though many of these drugs are used to treat cancer, if you're exposed to these drugs unnecessarily over time, they can actually lead to cancer. So you could actually have acute effects or even chronic conditions occur as a result of any exposure to these medications. So we have all these processes in place, the environmental controls to ensure that we're not exposing our employees, our nurses, and our patients to any chemotherapy. What's another unique feature about this room that's different from the other cancer centers is that we have this pass-through window. So typically in the other areas, once the chemotherapy is mixed, the technician will have to go through the anteroom and through the door in order to provide those medications to us so that we can give them to the nurses. Here, there's actually a pass-through chamber, which is on the left of on the top picture on the left-hand side. That's the pass-through window. So that allows the technician to stay garbed up and ready to mix the next item without having to degarb, degown, and come out to pass the medication to us. So that'll make it a lot more efficient. And then we also have obviously the non-chemo storage, so that's kind of boring. This is the area where we receive our medications. So we actually have to have a special room to receive the medications. Here in this room, we divide the non-chemo or the non-hazardous from the hazardous. The non-hazardous drugs go in the room I just showed you. That's my finger, okay? I just noticed that. And the hazardous drugs go in this particular area. This is a chemo storage area. So per the USP 797, USP 800 standards, in the past, these drugs used to be stored in the same room. Now they have to be stored separately. So we have refrigerators, freezers for each of those items. It does, bring additional costs, but again, in the name of, protecting our employees, protecting the nurses, protecting the patients, it's something that needs to be done, because there is the possibility that we'll receive a box from McKesson or from our wholesaler. The box may have been damaged during the transfer process. A bottle may have broken, and we may be exposed to chemotherapy unnecessarily. So the boxes with the chemotherapy are brought into this chemo storage area, in order for the technicians or the pharmacists to take the material outside of the box, we have to gown up. So every time we, receive a medication or box of hazardous drugs, we go through the process of gowning up, putting on gloves, putting on a mask, hairnet, and all of that before we store them. So again, USP does require that this be a negative room as well, and have, air change per hour requirements as well. There you can see that metal box in the middle. That's actually a pass-through box. So once we're ready to mix chemotherapy, we'll pass the chemotherapy through that pass-through window into the chemo room, the IV chemo room where we mix the chemotherapy. And again, these extra measures are to ensure that there is no accidental exposure to the chemotherapy. Okay, so that's what's happening now. We hope that, so really what the holdup now is getting the HVA system air balanced and getting everything right consistently. So, we've asked ETB, we've asked Siemens here to make sure that the pressures are correct, the temperature is correct, the air changes per hour are correct. And then we've requested a 30-day monitoring period to make sure that these rooms are able to keep those metrics in place during a 30-day period. And it's during this 30-day period that, we will be going in and out. We'll be doing some of our on-site training, with the pharmacists and with the technicians. And we want to be sure that the rooms can maintain, the metrics that it needs to maintain in order to be compliant with USP 7900. I'm sorry, 797 and USP 800. Soon, one of the things that, when I first came on board, I expressed to leadership is that if we're truly going to offer comprehensive cancer care, we're going to need a specialty retail pharmacy. In that slide earlier, I showed you there's about 306 new products that'll be coming out, unique products. 30% of those are oral. So in the past 10 years or so, we've seen a large increase in the number of oral tablets, oral capsules that are available to treat cancer. A lot of these are the specific targeted therapies, and that's just going to grow. So really, in order to provide the comprehensive services that we want to, we need to provide the oral as well. So, our hope is that we can have a specialty retail pharmacy available in 6 months, and that we can provide those medications to our patients. Currently, a lot of patients have to get those through mail order. And, unfortunately, the type of communication that's required to educate these patients, and to really, help them understand, the treatment they're receiving, it's hard to do over a phone. And there's been plenty of studies that show that face-to-face counseling is the best. And we hope to be able to provide that for our patients. And so I'm very excited about that. One of the things that I love about pharmacy is not only the ability to dispense the medications, but to dispense the information and make sure that they understand what they're taking, make sure that they understand, types of side effects that will occur, and, arm them with the information that they need in order to mitigate those side effects, but also arm them with the information they need in order to treat those side effects, and also let them know this is when you need to call the doctor. Oh, that's my computer telling me it's 11 hours. So more to come. Thank you so much. I'm sorry I took up so much time. I don't know if there's any questions.
No, thank you so much for that information. There is one question. What system, if any, are you doing to use inventory management and chain of custody for tracking for drugs?
Yeah, so the chain of custody, McKesson has updated their system in order to be compliant with the new requirements that aren't going to go into effect until next year. They're not there yet, but we are receiving the medications directly from McKesson. We don't get medications from anywhere else. And so we do have that information, and that information is uploaded into our computer to make sure, that the medications are from a source that has, the accreditation and the certification that's required for these types of medications. As far as the inventory management system, what we're doing in order to keep our inventory low, because I don't want to keep millions of dollars. And by the way, we will order millions of dollars of drugs every year. We'll probably, our first year, order close to $6 or $7 million worth of medications based on projections. And so in order to minimize, millions of dollars sitting on the shelf, we don't order just a bunch of medications in the hopes that we'll eventually get an order for it. What we'll do is we'll look at the schedule 2 days out to see who's scheduled for chemotherapy and just order the medications necessary to treat those patients.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for this information. It was very insightful. And please feel free when you do open, feel free to come back to Staff Senate and to share your opening and how everything is going.
I'll be happy to. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Thank you. So moving next to our part of our agenda is a committee report. I'll hand it over to Communications Committee Chair, Jeremy San Miguel.
Hey, y'all. Thank you for sticking through with us past 11. We really appreciate you. So as far as the Communications Committee, I'll make this very brief. We have a record-breaking or near record-breaking amount of retirees coming up in the August month. So we are launching, as far as the Communications Committee, a celebration of retirement campaign. More details will be coming to your emails very, very shortly. So if you or someone you know is retiring in August, we would love to celebrate them, right, with their favorite spirit photo, the amount of years they've given to UTRGV or any of our legacy institutions. And make sure you follow us on social media. We'll put the handles in the chat. That's where you'll be seeing all the wonderful photos that people will be collecting. Thank you so much. Now moving on to the next committee. I believe it's elections. Sorry, this is me not looking at the agenda.
Hi, everybody. I'm Yesenia with the Constitution and Elections Committee. The updates that we have today are we are still in the elections process. We have gotten our nominations. If you've received a nomination, please by today, 5 o'clock, accept your nomination or decline your nomination. Just please remember that being a part of the Staff Senate gives you the opportunity to network with anybody and everybody throughout the university. I have met so many people and they've helped me that I never knew, could help me. So I really recommend you accept your invitation just so you can get a feel for the Staff Senate, and then hopefully you can, tell your coworkers in the future to also join. After they accept or decline their nominations, you will be receiving the election ballot, hopefully within the next week or two. If you all have any questions, concerns about the Staff Senate, please email us at staffsenate@utrgv.edu. We'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions, concerns, any kind. But I do want to keep it short since it's already past 11. So please reach out to us again at the staffsenate@utrgv.edu with any questions and concerns about the Constitution or the nominations and elections process. Thank you all so much for your time. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye. I'm going to pass it over to the Business Process and Staff Support Committee. I believe Elizabeth Salinas.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Yes, Ahmad is out and he asked me to provide the updates for our committee. Our committee met this month and we reviewed the latest feedback submission, which was an anonymous submission by our staff member in IT. And the submitter was inquiring if there will be any upcoming iterations of the Master of Arts in Higher Education Administration program offered to staff, again, at no cost as previously offered for the inaugural cohorts. And the committee will share the question with HR, Organizational Development, and Training to see if this program could be offered again in the future. We also have prior submissions that are pending updates from respective departments, and we will be working on resolving any open fiscal year 25 submissions. The committee will be following up with the submissions pending an update from the respective departments, and we hope to share these updates in the upcoming meeting. These are all our updates for now. Next, I will pass it on to Staff Success Chair Crystal Marroquin.
Crystal just messaged me that there is no updates for Staff Success. So we'll go ahead and move on with Maeda.
Okay, I will now move to open the floor for public comments and questions.
So is there anybody who have any public comments or questions? Going once? Going twice? Well, I would like to say something. So this will be the end of the meetings for Staff Senate for this academic year. I would like to thank all the Staff Senate for your hard work this past year and making my presidency amazing. I would also like to thank you to all the committee chairs and co-chairs. Thank you for your hard work with the committees. Your work meant a lot to me. I really do appreciate every single one of you. To my executive board, thank you so much for all your support and knowledge that you helped me with any issues that I might have this year. I would also like to send out a thank you to Veronica Villarreal, the immediate past president. Thank you so much for all your encouraging words this past year and in motivating me to be an amazing president. And also, I would like to thank my vice president, Oliver. Oliver Lozano. When we started this journey together last August, we really didn't know each other. But throughout this year, through this journey, we were able to come together and create amazing things and solve major issues. So now I can safely say that you are an amazing colleague, but I can also say that you are an amazing friend. So thank you so much for all your support. And if anyone who's considering or has an opportunity to join Staff Senate, thank you so much. You should consider joining Staff Senate. I met so many amazing people in my 3 years, made so many connections, and it just supports their staff and our university, and it helps build school spirit. So if you do have an opportunity to join Staff Senate, I would recommend to take the nomination. But with that being said, this will be my last time saying this. If there's no any further questions or any further public comments or questions, I will now move to make a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn the Staff Senate General Meeting for the month of July.
Is there a second?
I second.
Is there any debate or discussion? Any debate or discussion? Debate or discussion? All those in favor state aye in the team chat. All opposed, any abstentions?
And I adjourned the meeting at 11:09 a.m. Thank you everyone for coming to the meeting. Have a great day.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.